Hi there, in this video today we're going to be looking at section 12.2 part C in our notes, which is going to be using the cosine rule, which will help us calculate a missing side. Okay, so we said earlier that during the sine rule that helps us work out a missing side as well and under specific situations, and the cosine rule is another rule we're going to look at that can help us work out a missing side too. So to find a length using the cosine rule, what we need to know before we can do that is we need to know the other two sides of the triangle and including the angle that fits in between them. Okay, so it's a bit more like the setup we have for area formula where we have to know the two sides and the angle between them. It's the same for the cosine rule. However, the cosine rule will help us get the other side. Okay, so I'm going to draw your attention to the formula. So the formula is written here. So we have a squared, fill this in a bit more, equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc multiplied cos a. Okay, so remembering our lowercase letters is our sides and our capital letters is our angle. Okay, the good thing for you is that this formula is given to you in the exam on the formula page, so you don't need to remember it, we just need to make sure we know how to do it. So we're going to look at these two examples to show you how this cosine rule works. Okay, you will need your calculators also. So starting off with my question, we're going to find the missing length in this diagram. Okay, so you can see I've got my length 7 meters and 11 meters, but I don't know the other length of this triangle. However, I do know the angle in between the 7 and the 11, which is 58, so I can use the cosine rule to help me do that. First things first, I'm going to label my triangle and so I can get my correct A, B's and C's, lowercase and uppercase. So I'm going to call the top angle A, where the angle is. I'm going to call the angle down to the left B. I'm going to call the angle away to the right as part C. Okay, so I'm going to label my lengths now. So opposite A will be small a, length A there. That's going to be the side I'm going to find. Small b is going to be 11 and lowercase c is going to be 7. So I've labeled my triangle. I'm now ready to answer my question. Okay, so I'm finding the length here, which is going to be length A. So the formula is not going to change for me. It's going to be a squared. That's going to equal the length of b squared plus the length of c squared. Take away 2 times b times c multiplied by cos of the angle A. So your first step is to label your triangle correctly, then write down your formula. So I'm now going to put my values in. So it's going to be a squared, that's going to equal b squared, so b squared is 11, so it's going to be 11 squared, plus c squared, which is 7 squared. Take away, now I know the formula doesn't say this, I'm going to put the rest of this into a bracket just so it's more manageable for you in your calculator. Okay, so it's a good idea to make sure you use brackets here so that this thing is going to subtract all of what's going on in here. So 2bc is going to be 2 times 11 times by 7 times by cos of the angle A, which is 58 degrees. Okay, so that's going to be how I'm going to calculate my answer. Okay, so I'm going to work out a squared, put this into my calculator, and if you do that correctly, you should get the answer 88.3924 dot dot dot. Okay, so it's 3924 and so on. Now normally we would round to two decimal places, however that is the length of A but squared, okay, which is not what I want. I want to get the answer of A, that's the length that I'm finding. So to undo a squared, we take the square root, so a bit like Pythagoras. So it's going to be the square root of my answer, and you can see why I didn't round now, so that my answer is going to be more exact. And if you do that properly, what you should get is 9.4017. Okay, and we can now round that to 2 decimal places, which is 9.40, and our units were meters. Okay, so that is the length of A found using the cosine rule. Okay, so once you label your triangle, it's a case of writing the formula, substituting into your formula, being careful with your calculator, making sure you get the values I get there, taking the square root because it was a squared in my formula, and then rounding your final answer to 2 decimal places. Okay, we'll look at a second example before you begin your lesson today. So we're going to state the size, we've got to find the size, sorry, of PQ. Okay, so I'm going to label my triangle to see exactly what PQ is. So PQ is going to be this length here, And this length here I'm going to label R as its opposite capital R there. Okay, so it's going to be R across there. Small p is going to be opposite angle P, and small q is going to be opposite angle Q. Okay, so now I've got my labeling done, I can now go to my formula. So my formula says a squared equals b squared plus c squared minus 2bc cos A. That's not going to really work for me because I don't have A, B's and C's, I've got P, Q's and R's. The length I'm trying to find is the length from P to Q, which is R, so it's going to be R squared there. Therefore, I'm going to be using the other two lengths there, so it's going to be B squared, which is going to say P squared plus Q squared minus 2 lots of PQ cos of the angle R. Okay, so it's a case of just using different letters to suit my formula, to suit my triangle. Therefore, R squared is going to be, now I'm going to put the numbers in, so it's going to be 14 squared plus 11 squared minus, open my bracket, so I can do this in my calculator all together, 2 times P, which is 2 times 14, times 11 times cos of 64. Okay, a bit of a squeeze to get in there, cos of 64. Put all that in your calculator, be careful with your brackets. You should hopefully get the answer 181.9816. Dot dot dot, there's a bit more than that. We want R, so that means we've got to take the square root of all this. Okay, and if I do that, what I end up getting for R is 13.4900 dot dot dot. Round that to 2 decimal places, 13.49 millimeters. Okay, so there's 2 examples done using the cosine rule to find a missing length. There's also 2 examples where they give you different letters for your triangle, but you can see the formula works the same way, you just maybe have to use different letters for using it to find your length, as I've shown you in example 2. Okay folks, thank you.